Guys, welcome back. I'm excited to be here. I hope you guys are excited too. This is a youth forum. This is an awesome opportunity for you guys to speak to the professionals in the game. So welcome back. The first panel is on the subject of housing. Our panel guest is Dan Sabourin. Dan is the Director of Community Services at YSB, Youth Service Bureau, and a board member on the National Learning Community for Youth Homelessness. Dan has been with the Youth Service Bureau for a quarter of a century, 25 years. His expertise covers youth advocacy, policy, and community development. So Dan, welcome.
Thanks, Justin.
No problem.
Thanks, Senator. We'll start with maybe just a little context on youth homelessness. I thought there were certainly two questions that were presented. What are the challenges that youth encountering that block access to service that I'll talk about? And what new initiatives or changes to initiatives can we implement to ensure our youth are getting what they need to succeed and feel empowered? I thought maybe with a little context and with the time that we have is maybe just to talk about the epidemic that is youth homelessness. The Senator has outlined 7 key pillars, and certainly having a home and not being homeless is going to be crucial for those other pillars.
Yes.
As you can imagine, to get an employment without an address, to participate in sports, arts, and culture requires funding or some kind of support. So I think that, really when we're looking at a small population, but a population that maybe is more vulnerable in that context of really meeting their potential. When you look at, this was several years ago, I think it was in 2009, the United Nations urged Canada to develop a national housing strategy. When we look at youth homelessness, there are many reasons, and it certainly is a complex issue. There are many reasons why young people end up homeless. Certainly what we find is family conflict, mental health, substance use. When we're looking at poverty, we've had some youth in our shelters that their families can't afford to feed them or house them, so they're asked to leave the home. We have socioeconomic, the poverty, job loss, parental stress, single parents, mental health of parents, abuse, violence. All those things lead to really a youth in a very delicate development of adolescence. So when they end up homeless, what we find is in Canada, the latest report is about 65,000 homeless youth between the ages of 16 and 24. It's one of the fastest growing subpopulations of the homeless. So we really need to take a look at how we can support young people to reach their potential. When we look at some of the challenges with the youth that we're working with, homophobia, transphobia, still today, discrimination, ageism that young people face that others wouldn't face. Lack of supports, life experiences. If you're 16 years old, you're expected to be on the streets and have your own house and manage and clean and organize your bills. Navigating adult systems that aren't adult youth-friendly. Traditional institutions that we have, schools, don't necessarily meet the needs of all young people. Experiences that young people have with the adult interaction at times has been negative, whether it's schools, parents, police officers. So I think we need to consider all those. Those are some of the challenges. To get a job without an address, like I mentioned earlier, without a social insurance number, without the proper ID. So all those things, getting a rental apartment when landlords may discriminate because they find that person is a high risk tenant. So those are some of the challenges that young people face when we're talking about homeless youth. I'm part of the Youth Service Bureau is part of the National Learning Community through EVA's initiative. And we have 14 agencies across Canada that have recently polled and surveyed homeless youth. And the amount of youth that indicate mental health, substance use, concurrent disorder as a factor of trying to get housing and secure housing
Which is one of the pillars we'll be talking about later on.
Absolutely. And crucial, and they're mixed. When it comes to housing, mental health is primary health, accessing services, a long waiting list. All those things contribute to making it difficult for a young person as they're going through adolescent development without the proper adult mentors to reach that potential. Now, that being said, what an amazing, resilient group of young people. When you look at their trauma, their histories, their past, to survive on the streets, and when given an opportunity and connecting with adults who care, who respect them, who demonstrate trust, they can really, you can see that they really benefit from that and really grow from that experience when they're given the opportunity. So you know, it's a very complex issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing with the housing...
But it's an issue I believe that we need to deal with. That's why we're having this National Youth Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just certainly delighted that you're here to talk about your experience and what you're doing with these young people. And again, we're going to field some questions, panelists from the participants online, to make sure that we're doing the right thing in terms of our policy paper that we're going to put forward.
Certainly a national, you know, where the Senate and federal government could support as a national housing strategy. Certainly where at the provincial level is talking about the provinces creating, if you wanted one answer that would go, that probably have the biggest impact, is with provincial ministries creating a new category of 16 to 25. Where the focus, if you look at training, education ministries, community services ministries, is the 16 to 25 represent a small part. So their focus isn't necessarily, there's some great programs here in Ontario, but if we had a ministry, if the provinces said 16 to 25, let's focus on housing, mental health, education, and that was their only focus. An amalgamation of those ministries would go a huge way in ensuring that youth get the best service.
Awesome. Appreciate that answer. Second question, how is housing or living conditions that is facing our youth impacting the social development and the obstacles of youth empowerment?
Right. I mean, that's a big question, Justin. I think you know, some of the barriers or some of the impact is, I mean, everybody talks about youth being our future.
Yes.
If we don't provide that support and that network and that navigation and that encouragement, where is our future? Exactly. Right? And so the whole social fabric. And many of the young people that are homeless are nephews, nieces, friends, neighbors. These are real people. And I can tell you from my experience is I've seen some young people that have had tragic histories that with programming, support, learning to trust adults because they haven't had that, engagement is really important. And having them determine and make their own choices. If we're saying at 16 you can be on the street, then at 16 you can decide what you want to do. So providing options and choices with a harm reduction approach is then allowing young people to make that. You've got to, and certainly I'd have to go back to when I was young, but I wasn't somebody that liked to be told what to do. But having the options, right? And these young people don't have parents to guide them generally. So I think giving them, the empowerment is about giving them opportunity and choices and going through that journey with them.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Talk about a little bit for me, if you don't mind, Justin. I'm going to interject here.
Sure.
Mentorship, the role of mentors play in the lives of these young people. Some of them have been, you know, either for no reason of their own, they've left home. They're on the streets. They're 16 years old. They're roaming the streets, male and female. And we saw what's happening in the city of Toronto, where they have young girls being taken into prostitution as age 12. And 14 and so forth. So talk to us about the need for having a strong mentor in your life as you develop.
Absolutely, and you know, I think that most people go through life with the appropriate adult mentor. A lot of young people with lack of an adult mentor, and whoever that may be, and appropriate by having an ear and listening and caring and providing some choices and options, is when young people don't have that, they will find it somewhere else. So whether that's with a negative peer group, which often happens.
Gang
yeah, it could be, absolutely. It's where am I going to be trusted? Where am I going to be respected? And if I'm not going to be respected at home, or if I'm not going to be respected in a traditional school, or if I'm not going to be respected in other areas, then I'm going to find that respect somewhere else. And I think having key people in our community, and there's a different, and I would think most youth would say, there's a difference between a youth a staff that works, a professional that works with youth, and a professional who works with adults. There's a difference. There's a difference in character, there's a difference in personality, there's specific training, and you don't get that with, necessarily, will a young person see that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
We conclude the question segment. I would like to offer a final statement for Don, if you have any other closing words.
Yeah, I do want to say that knowing that it's a young audience, that it is Mental Health Week, so that young people, if you're feeling isolated or alone, to reach out, get some help. If you're homeless, reach out to agencies that work with youth homeless, because we really are there for you, and give us an opportunity, and we'll demonstrate our trust.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that insightful presentation, Don.